September 25th, 1066, a field near York, England. By sunset, 300 years of Norse dominance would be reduced to a memory. Not a slow decline, not a gradual fade, one afternoon. Here's what the history books rarely explain. The man who ended the Viking Age wasn't a Viking hunter. He was a king named Harald Hardrada, hard ruler. And for 20 years, he'd been Europe's most feared warlord. He'd fought in Byzantium. He'd commanded the Varangian Guard. He believed with total conviction that the throne of England belonged to him. He was wrong, and his army paid for that mistake with their lives. The mechanics are simple. Hardrada landed in northern England with roughly 10,000 men, expecting an easy conquest. The English king, Harold Godwinson, was supposed to be 300 miles south, guarding the coast against a different invader entirely, William of Normandy. Godwinson did something no one anticipated. He marched his army nearly 200 miles in 4 days. The Vikings weren't ready. Many had left their armor on their ships, expecting nothing but a peaceful handover of hostages. Instead, they watched an English army materialize on the horizon, fully armed, fully rested. This is where the real story begins, not on the battlefield, but in the decision that came before it. Hardrada had a choice: retreat to the ships, regroup, fight on his own terms. Instead, pride dictated otherwise. A king who had spent his life being underestimated was not about to run from an army half prepared for war. He stood his ground. It cost him everything. A single arrow found his throat in the early hours of the battle. The man who had survived a decade of warfare in the Mediterranean died in a wheat field in Yorkshire, killed not by a legendary swordsman, but by chance. His army didn't collapse immediately. They fought on, leaderless, for hours, a final brutal testament to Norse discipline. But without their king, the outcome was inevitable. By nightfall, the invasion force was annihilated. Of the roughly 300 ships that had sailed to England, only 24 returned home. Here's the detail most people miss. 3 days after the battle, William of Normandy landed on the southern coast, completely unopposed, because the only army capable of stopping him had just bled itself dry defeating someone else. Godwinson's victory at Stamford Bridge directly enabled his defeat 3 weeks later at Hastings. The same exhausted soldiers who just force-marched 400 miles and won one battle were sent straight into another. One king's pride destroyed an empire of raiders that had terrorized Europe for 3 centuries. Another king's exhaustion handed England to the Normans forever. 2 decisions, 2 kingdoms, one single afternoon that rewired the future of an entire continent. The Vikings didn't fade into history, they were erased by an arrow, a forced march, and the unbearable weight of a king's ego. That's how empires actually end, not with armies, with one bad decision made at exactly the wrong moment.